G'day mates, it's Busta here. So I just wanted to grab you guys quickly before the video starts for a few seconds just to explain what this video is. So as those of you who follow me on social media may already know, I've been wanting to narrate a few creepypastas for some time now. There are so many great creepypastas out there that I would just love to share with you all, and I receive a lot of stories from so many creative writers in my email as well that I thought it would be a real shame not to share some of them with you. But I also understand that creepypastas are somewhat saturated on YouTube. And while many of you have already encouraged me to read some creepypastas anyway, most of you prefer the true stories, which is what my channel is really known for. So I've been thinking about a way to introduce creepypastas on the channel in a way that is fresh and also maintains the things that all of you guys have come to love about the channel. And after some thinking, I came up with the Guess Who theme idea. Now, a lot of you guys seem to really enjoy the process of investigating the stories that I share here on the channel. So in this video, one of the stories is a creepypasta and it's not true. And it's up to you guys to try and discover which story is the creepypasta. And I'll be sure to announce which story is the creepypasta at the end of the next video. I thought that this would be a kind of new and fun way to incorporate some of the fantastic creepypasta stories I receive and to interact more with you guys. And because so many of you guys seem to really enjoy investigating the stories, I thought many of you may enjoy this theme. So, be sure to let me know what you all think, and if I get enough likes and support, I'll be sure to make more of these. But without further ado guys, I hope you all enjoy the video, and let's begin. Number 3. Okay, so I know compared to ghost stories and scary skeleton stories, my story isn't as frightening. What really sticks this to my memory though is its completely unexplained nature. A few years back, I worked in a local supermarket of a chain I won't mention, aside that the uniforms are black. That comes in later. Anyway, I was about 16 or 17, small and generally unexperienced. I just needed extra money while I was in college so I could get the train to see my girlfriend. Call me a modern day romantic, I know. Anyway, I hated the work and often took longer breaks than I should upstairs in the employees' room. The store is a large square shop floor with a door at the back leading to a single walkway. At the end of the walkway is a set of stairs leading up to the warehouse room after the shop floor and the break room adjoining that. There's no other way down aside the stairs. So, I was on break eating some out-of-date stock, and over at the intercom, I was called to the tills. I can't remember what day it was, but there were very few of us workers on that night, so it seemed pretty busy to us. There was me, an older woman who I think was called Becca, my friend Sean, and my manager whose name I've honestly forgotten. I responded to the call, dragged myself up and out of the door to cross the warehouse and down to the shop floor. The warehouse is full of crates and those large trolley cages we use for moving stock into a shop floor. As I came out the break room, I saw a person duck behind one of the said cages. I thought it was Sean, as the shape was black. Remember, the uniforms, right? The shadow was large and 100% human. Arms, legs, a head, the whole lot. I called out hi, as Sean is a bit of a lad and would probably get offended if I strolled past without greeting him. But to my surprise, I got no response. I walked up to the cage and peering around it, there was no one there. I'd like to say as well that I'd never taken any kinds of drugs or hallucinogenics and at the time drank rarely and sparsely, so I couldn't have been affected by anything like that. The lights in the room were bright and modern, so there was no flickering and no way it could have created a shape like that. Plus, they were directly overhead, so it couldn't have been my own shadow. And with that, I was 100% done with being in that room. I legged it down the stairs and got to the bottom, noting that the slow creaky door was shut tight. If anyone had somehow got down there super fast, it would have taken an age to shut it. I got out onto the shop floor and went to find my manager. I was still trying to be rational and decided that if there was an intruder in the warehouse who had just hidden very well, that didn't look very good on me for just walking past. I located the manager and asked where everyone was. He seemed confused, but told me that Becca was on tills and that he had been in the office and Sean was loading fruit by the front door. Weirdly, I was the only person in the entire back of the shop. So all of this doesn't sound overly scary, but what keeps me from dismissing it as just a trick of my mind is how all the facts are stacked against it. I like horror and creepy things as much as the next guy, but I sleep just fine at night knowing it's all just imaginary. My story though, it's very true. I saw something. Not a shadowy haze, but a human mass which was there when all logic proves it can't have been. And that scares me to the very core. In fact, I'll never forget it. Number 2. I lived on an American air base in Utah with my husband. If you don't know much about what it's like living on a military base, then let me tell you, it can sometimes feel like a 1950s dreamland. People leave doors unlocked, and at dusk everyone comes out of their homes, sits on their porches and just chats. There are even base picnics. Even though my husband and I met as we were both enlisted, I had left the military and discovered how the wives are often treated like they should be there to serve the family, barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen. But all in all, the community was very welcoming and very predictable. As a part of my duty to my husband, I looked up a volunteer position helping military families, and it was through them that I met a large group of amazing friends. Every week we'd have a meeting, which ended with us getting completely drunk and stumbling home at 2 or 3 in the morning. It was great because we all lived close enough that we didn't need a DD and all the kids would be nearby if they needed anything. After a long week of going to college classes, it was a great way to unwind and cut loose. That winter night was where the mirage faded and the hard reality of the outside world hit me. Before you hear the story and lecture me, understand that this is something I had done thousands of times over many years, as did most of my friends and many strangers. I was walking home, as usual, on a Saturday night, drunk, dialing my husband with half an empty bottle of wine and liquor in my sack. Across the street, under the streetlight, I noticed a military guy also stumbling home in the opposite direction. I nodded to him and thought nothing of it. He was a soldier, just like all of the family guys on that street were. I didn't have any chills and no alarm bells went off. The streets were all well lit, even though it was late. After all, this was a military base. All I remember about him was that he was a white guy wearing a hoodie and that he was a big, athletic dude, which is not all that uncommon. I looked directly at him and the shadows covered his features, so I couldn't say anything more. I assumed that this would be the end of it and turned the corner to walk up the hill to my house. My husband had been playing video games, and while I was chatting to him about coming home, I heard footsteps behind me. They were walking in step with mine. Anyone who's learned to march knows the echo of multiple feet hitting the ground at the same time. They were quiet at first, but another nifty trick of being a veteran is vigilance. I may be female, and I may have gotten soft around the middle, but you don't stop noticing all of the minor details. These footsteps though, they were farther behind me, so there was no need to panic yet. These streets were commonly travelled by people at night, and it could be anyone walking home. Another thing you learn is that walking in step comes naturally. If you've been in the military, you probably correct your step without noticing just because it feels unnatural not to. I turned around to see who it was, and there, at the corner, was the hooded man. He had turned around and was now walking in a step a block behind me. Trying to stay calm, my mind raced to come up with an explanation for this. Still not wanting to see the danger, I thought, he must have forgotten something at his buddy's house and is going back to get it or something. At the same time, I tried to keep my husband on the phone because this was starting to scare me. In the back of my mind, I tried to think what kind of weapon I had, and the only thing I could come up with was the heavy wine bottles or the cloth sack I carried them in. Blissfully unaware, my husband gave me some reason he had to get off the phone. He'd probably come to some difficult part of the game which required concentration. I couldn't think of a reason to keep him on without overreacting, so I stupidly let him go. I wish I had thought to pretend to keep talking, but I didn't. As soon as the phone came away from my ear, the steps, they quickened. I turned around, and the man had begun sprinting toward me. This was no light jog either. It was as if he was racing to hit me at full force. In that moment, fight or flight mentally kicked in, and I stood there because I knew I couldn't outrun this guy. I was so close to home, but he was too fast. So I grabbed the handle of the sack hard and wrapped it around my wrist to give myself a better grip. I turned back around and began running, but I was preparing to hit him as hard as I could. Meanwhile, with my other hand, I reached back into my pocket and used speed dial to get my husband back on the line. My husband picked up and I yelled at him to come outside at the corner of the street. He said he would get on his shoes and I told him not to. He asked if something was wrong and in a panic I said, "No, just I need you right now." I still don't know why I said that. Luckily though, he could hear the panic in my voice and came running. The steps were so close behind me now that I felt like he was right on top of me. This whole thing probably only took a few minutes, but it felt like my home was a million miles away. Finally, I could see my husband burst around the corner with his untied shoelaces trailing after him. I waved frantically and ran to him as quick as I could. By the time I turned back around, the man, he'd vanished. Probably into the shadows between the houses or something. Neither of us got a good enough look at him to ever catch the guy. I don't know what he planned on doing, but I do know it was shortly after this happened that a big news story broke out about the military not prosecuting rapists who were on active duty. It wasn't long after that I watched a documentary about this, and I still shudder to think what he would have done if I had lived a little further away or I had tried to fight him. All of us had a DD pick us up after that night. There was always someone to escort us home as well and see that we made it inside safely. And no one ever kept their doors unlocked after that.
Number 1.
I'm not too sure how to write this out. It's been 2 years since the incident occurred, and I'm still visiting a psychiatrist twice a week and under some different antidepressants to keep my school and social life from coming to a dead stop. This is a story about how, unlike most stories I've read about the deep web, I was not openly stalked or tormented by some deranged rapist or murderer that I ended up stumbling upon. Instead, this is a story about how I was purposefully saved by one, but also given a very dangerous warning as a punishment. I won't give you my name, well, my real name anyway. For this, I'll call myself Violet. At the time this happened, I was 18 and getting ready to start college in a different state from my home. Now, I was always a very shy and seclusive girl, so reading and playing video games are my go-to to keep me stimulated. My parents, being strict Catholics, were no help either. So, I was very sheltered and had only a few friends and my pet cat for company. This was the last week of summer before I had to move off from school, and my best friend invited me over for a get-together of movies, games, and surfing the internet. I brought my laptop along, as hers was getting repaired at the shop. As we glanced around funny videos and laughed ourselves silly, my best friend, her name's Mira, decided that it would be an interesting adventure to pursue the deep web or the dark net. Now, I'm a paranoid person, and I'm no stranger to those stories about how the minute you get on the deep web, the predatory creeps that are regulars there are immediately on your tail and destroy your life entirely, even with that protective safeware that's supposed to keep you untrackable. But Mira reassured me that her boyfriend goes on there a lot and that there can be some interesting things to look at, like private old historical documents and classified UFO information, which she knew that I was interested in. Before I could even get a word in edgewise, she grabbed my laptop from me and began attempting to get the software on and look for the hidden wiki, as she called it. I protested, of course, but I'll admit it. The thought of reading secret government information that they didn't want you to know about is a bit exciting, to say the least. It almost makes me forget about the child porn and the smut films that literally blanketed the majority of it. Almost, anyway. Fortunately, we didn't stumble upon any of the latter. As we pursued through the links, we were actually lucky and didn't run into anything extremely horrifying. We did end up accidentally clicking on a really screwed up cult website, but we managed to backtrack just before we saw anything too terrible. Before I knew it, my mum called and I had to go home, and so I said my goodbyes and told her that I would text her before I got home to let her know I was safe. As I got settled into my comfy room, with my cat pressed against my leg as she slept, I realized that I had left the hidden wiki still up. Out of curiosity, and as we didn't find any historical classified documents through the last search, I decided that I would attempt another go at it. I was a little comfortable now, able to go through and not be too wary about seeing something disgusting or disturbing. A chat box popped up a few seconds after my fourth link click. A message appeared.
Good evening.
I swear that I did, in fact, shit a brick from this. For a moment, I was stunned. All I could think about is every single story I had ever heard on Reddit or creepypasta. I was going to be raped, family butchered, and then left somewhere in a dark, cold warehouse to die. Fuck. Fuck, I thought. Another message.
It's alright. I can wait for a reply, or not, if you want. I could imagine this being a little terrifying for you. Take your time.
Well, for my future murderer, they're certainly polite, I thought, now surprised by the well-manners displayed before me. Without understanding why, I began to type.
Who are you?
Yeah, I know, great reply. The person on the other end immediately began to type. Their username was a mixture of numbers, nothing obvious or anything really. Anonymous, that's definitely the word for it. They replied,
Just a lurker who stumbled upon a newcomer. You're lucky I'm not one of those sick fucks on the kiddie porn sites.
I was silent at that, and then I received another message.
I imagine that's not very funny to someone as kind and innocent as you. That's okay. It's better to have more people like you in this twisted world. Much better.
Alright, either I'm hallucinating this entire experience, or I'm about to go headfirst into some Tumblr fangirl's demented creepypasta fanfiction. I prefer hallucinating, to be honest. I shook a little and typed again.
You don't know anything about me, and the fact that you're so polite, I don't get that.
They typed back immediately, and I waited.
Would you rather I look up your IP address and send you creepy threats while hacking your information? It can take a bit, but I can do that too.
No thanks. I'm not insulting you. I'm just surprised, to be honest.
And I can understand, but not all of us are perverted animals on here. Some of us have our pleasures, but we also have etiquette.
I was about to type again when they continued onward.
Now, Violet,
My face paled.
this is a place where you shouldn't be. Not to sound like a chiding parent, but you are a vulnerable young girl. You may as well be a large thick steak hanging from a string right now. You're lucky I found you before others did.
With shuddering hands, I typed back.
Others? What would the others do?
We both know what they would do, Violet.
And I knew that this person was right. The thoughts had flashed in my head only minutes before. The user typed again.
You have a cat?
I blinked. Now, I can see how this person could have guessed or found my name. I'm highly sure they traced my router or IP address or something to that effect. But even on my social media, which I really don't have, just a very private Facebook, I never really brought up that I had a cat. It was only until that very second that I realized that my tabby had just climbed up onto my lap, and if I were on a Skype call, that my webcam would be able to see her perfectly. My blood ran cold.
Well, you can certainly see her, can't you?
I tried to be cool, but I was screaming on the inside.
That I can. She's cute. I have a long-haired one myself. I apologize, but this is my way of showing that hacking, it really isn't as hard as everyone says. I'm not the best, but if somebody like me can easily see how you look and what your life looks like, imagine what others could do. You look like a very smart, very bright girl with a future ahead of you. Don't fuck this chance up. Close out and clean out everything on your laptop. Start fresh and never come back here. It's better for you.
Why are you doing this? Why are you helping me?
That took some time to type after I read his wall of a response, but as I shuddered and stroked my cat's fur to relax my heartbeat, I could feel their eyes watching me from the screen. Pity. That's what I felt from them. Just pity. You could probably also call it a white knight syndrome.
I can't help but melt at a genuinely kind and pretty face sometimes, and a cat lover. Cat lovers are hard to come by.
Well, I suppose so. Thank you for the info.
No problem. Now, please do what I said. I'll even help you out a bit.
That put me off. I really began to wonder how much control this person had over my computer. They typed before I could respond.
However, don't take this the wrong way, but I'm going to punish you for treading into a place you really shouldn't be.
That's when I shit a brick again. I tried to type, but nothing appeared.
Relax. Nothing physical against you or your family or your cute cat. Just a little warning to show you how dangerous this place really is. It will see on my words of advice, so to speak. You'll understand.
I tried to type again, and this time it worked,
You won't hurt me?
I won't lay a hand on you.
was the response. What choice did I have? I just shakily looked up at my webcam, red light still bright as ever, and gave a nod. Not sure why I chose that as a response, but it just felt right. Good.
Glad we understand each other. Good night, Violet.
I decided to type once more.
I suppose I should tell you to have a good night too. I'm glad that I didn't run into any monsters on here.
There was a pause, and I got their last reply of the night.
Who says that I'm not one of those worst kind of monsters?
And with that, the chat box, it just disappeared, as did the webpage. I closed everything out and I did as I was told. Afterwards, without another thought, I went to bed. I woke up to my mother shaking me. She looked very concerned.
What? Did I do something wrong?
I managed to groan. My mother only furrowed her brow.
Hun, when was the last time you saw Mira?
I was now awake the moment I heard my best friend's name. Apparently, Mira disappeared last night shortly after I'd left. Her parents thought that she had left with me, but the apparent disarray in her room and parts of the hallway made it clear that there was a struggle and she was dragged out of the house. Part of me knew that the stranger that I spoke to had something to do with this. I just knew. My mother and Mira's parents and even the police asked me questions regarding her disappearance, and I told them I knew nothing. I didn't want to tell them about the deep web. I just couldn't, not even for my friend. For now, part of me began to fear for my own life, and another part, it already knew that they would not like what they found if I told them where to look for Mira. My fears were confirmed when I received an email with a file attachment. It was sent with an email address that looked like a throwaway account, and the subject being one word: Mira. I won't tell you what I saw in that attachment. If I do, my anxiety will flare into a full breakdown and the images will burn back into my brain. All I can tell you is that Mira is very much dead. She, or what's left of her, isn't coming back. In the email body, there was a 4-word question, one that will haunt me until the day I die with survivor's guilt.
Do you understand now?
I don't think I ever will. I'll never understand how somebody could save me from a fate that fell on my friend, a fate that they committed. How could a monster decide to devour one but spare the other? No, I think I do understand. It was because they felt like it. G'day mates, it's Busta here. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video guys. Thanks again to the Hive members that bravely shared their story for us all here, and I hope you're all doing well. For the chance to have your story feature in a video, you can send your story to my email, which is in the description below. And as always, keep them coming guys, as this channel relies upon your stories to continue. Also, please do me a favour and just state in your email what your story is about in the description, and also provide me with a short written statement of consent just so that I can be above board with everything. Also remember to tell me in the email if you'd like to remain anonymous, and please change any names if you don't want particular names to be shared. So guys, just a reminder that the next topic I'm hoping to cover will be police stories and military stories. So for all of you officers of the law and military men and women, I'd love to hear from you. These stories can be anything from heated events, paranormal activities you may have experienced, or just generally anything scary that happened to you or someone you know. But remember guys, even if you don't have this type of story, please continue to send your stories in. Don't forget to check in on the next video as well guys, as I'll announce which story from this video was the creepypasta. And in the meantime, I wish you all the best in your investigative work. As always, it would be awesome if you could like, share, comment and subscribe if you're new. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram for updates throughout the week. You can also catch me on my second gaming channel, all of which have links in the description below. Thanks for always tuning in guys, and for all of the support, and I'll see you mates in the next one.